Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel, Brandy Janae's Bookshelf. As you can probably tell, once again from the board, today I'm going to be filming my October TBR. I haven't posted on my channel for most of this month. I haven't even read and responded to the comments that I got for my September TBR. But if you guys did not see the post that I made on YouTube, like the YouTube community board or whatever it is, I had some personal things come up that I needed to take care of, and honestly it was taking my focus away from YouTube, like anything to do with YouTube. So I just took a step back and just really took that time for myself. Hopefully by the time that this video goes up, I will have already responded to all of the comments. My plan is to do that, just work on it a little bit at a time in the mornings, but I'm also trying to like read in the morning, so I don't know, we'll see how that works out. But like I said, it's time for another deck of TBR. We're very quickly approaching the end of the month. It's actually the 28th, I believe. Yes, today is the 28th. Before I even get started with new TBR, as always, we're going to recap on what I was supposed to have read in September and let you guys know how that actually went. I ended up with 13 books, which going into the month I thought that I would definitely be able to finish at least the majority, maybe like 3 I would have left over depending on how reading went, especially because I was trying to read a lot physically. But that quickly went downhill, mostly because a lot of my reading that I was doing was, at least for the first half of the month, were books that I didn't have on my official TBR, so it kind of sidetracked me a lot. And then when I finally got to it, I was going through all of the other stuff that I obviously wasn't expecting to happen, and as a result I just like kind of slowed down on reading a lot. So by this point right now, I'm actually surprised with the amount that I have gotten through, and it's 2 things that I'm currently in the middle of that I haven't finished, but I should definitely be able to finish before the end of the month, which I will talk about. Prompt number 1 was to read a book with an animal on the cover, and for that one I had Happy Kaneko's Killer Life Volume 1, which I did read. I think this is actually the first thing that I finished in the month. Prompt number 2 is to read a book that I own multiple books by that author, and for that one I went with Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I didn't even start this one yet. Prompt number 3 was a bookish first win. I ended up reading Deal with the Devil by Kit Rocha. Prompt number 4 was to read a mythology themed book. For this one I had selected Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I am currently reading this one. I think over the next 2 days I should be able to get this finished, so I'm marking this one as being completed. Prompt number 5 was to read a novella. I had several options that I was kind of juggling between, so I think the one that I mentioned during the video was Remote Control by Nydia Okorafor. But along with that, I knew that I was going to be participating in a read along of the Kate Daniels series, and that read along includes reading different or several different novellas in the series. I did not read Remote Control, but I did read A Questionable Client, and then I think it was like 2 or 3 of the short stories from Curran. I'm marking it as done because I did read several things that would have fit. Prompt number 6 was to read a book with a dark cover, and the one that I went with was Beasts of Prey. I just never picked this up again, so that's another one that I'm counting as not completed. Prompt number 7 was actually, I think, the first TBR jar I had for this specific month, and I ended up landing on manga, and the one that I ended up getting pulled out was After the Rain by Jun Mayuzuki. I'm actually going to count it as not being completed, so it is going to count towards an extra pull, and I'm going to do all of the extra pulls in this video. And if I end up finishing it, then I will just cut those out, and obviously you won't see those. But as of right now, this is not finished. Prompt number 8 was random number for my shelves, And the one that I ended up landing on was Monstrous Volume 1, which I have already finished. So that is another one that I'm marking as done. Prompt number 9 was to read a book with a person on the cover, and I decided to go with Mashley Volume 1. This was another one of the mangas that I have not started. I need to read this for a different video. I do plan on trying to get this read before the end of the month. Once again, like I said, After the Rain, if I complete it before the end of the month, then I'll just take out the extra pull that would have counted for this one. Prompt 10 was to read a dystopian, and for this one I chose Monstrous Volume 2. I still don't know if this technically counts as dystopian, but I definitely counted it as one, and I have already finished that one as well. Prompt 11 was to read a book from an author you've already read before, and that one I selected The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. I have not started this one yet. I probably won't get to this before the end of the month. Prompt number 12 was another TBR jar, and that one was Newly Acquired, and the one that I ended up selecting was Requiem of the Rose King Volume 1, and another one, like I said, I haven't started. And then the final prompt, which was prompt 13, was to read a book under 300 pages, and the one that I went with for that was Monstrous Volume 3. I'm not technically done with this one. I think I am maybe just under halfway through it at this point, but if nothing else gets done, I will definitely be reading or finishing off that tonight. So out of the 13 books that were on my TBR for the month officially, I finished 5, and I'm working on 2 more, so that will be 7 for sure by the end of the month, and then possibly 10 if I finish the mangas. So not the best reading month, but it could have been worse, I guess. I think, at least I hope that this month will be better. I don't really have anything that should be super off track. I do have some books that are kind of like must reads for the month. Some of them are continuing on with the Kate Daniels reading along. Others are for like review purposes. And then whatever ends up getting selected. So hopefully this is month where I like stick on track. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm gonna try my best to like not stray too far until I've at least finished most, if not all, of the books that end up getting selected. So I'm not sure why, but they just took like way too long to go over everything. Of course, I always start off each month with 6 pulls, and I have 6 books that I have not finished as of right now. So I'm going to be adding 6 extra pulls. So as you can see, Bomb Book is added. You can see pretty much all of my prompts. So I'm not going to switch anything around this month. If I end up with something that I don't want to read, maybe what I'll do, because I know sometimes I'm just like, I know for sure that something just is not gonna happen. So if I do that, maybe I'll allow myself to skip a prompt, but maybe like do what Becca does in her Bookopoly-thon, at least as far as the readathon that she hosted for September. Like if I skip, I have to add a book. Like if I want to skip a prompt, I just have to add an extra pull, which would make me, you know, want to stick with the prompts, especially when I have these months where I have more than 10 books starting out. So yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. That'll give me a reason to stick with what I have. Let's do a quick shuffle of the cards. Okay, so first pull is 6 of Diamonds, which we're starting off strong with something on the board. Let me figure out what that is. Yeah, we're not starting off the greatest. So 6 of Diamonds is actually to finish a series. I can do this one of 2 ways. I can pick a series that's finished and like have to read the entire thing, or I could just pick something that I have that I need to get caught up in and just catch up with the series. I need to do a little bit of thinking to figure out which way I want to go. Like I have an idea in mind, but I don't think the book comes out this month, so I need to check that. If not, most likely we're going to end up going with the manga, because that's looking like the best option right now. I definitely decided to default to a manga series, because when I put this down, I definitely meant that I needed to read everything that was out. Unlike if I landed on the manga series for like TBR jar, then that was just like next book. But to finish a series meant read everything that you have left. So I have 3 different options, and I don't know which way I want to go yet. I know what the easiest route is, but knowing myself, I don't want to always go the easiest route. A couple different options, like I said. So I do have volumes 2 and 3 of The Golden Sheep by Kaori Ozaki. I read the first volume a few months back, and I meant to read volumes 2 and 3 because this is the entire series, you know, I think the month after I finished that. I think I've had this on TBR several months. So this is a very quick and easy solution because it's only 2 volumes left. They're both single volumes, and they are a little bit on the longer side, especially this last one for manga. But in general, this is the shortest option for me to choose. So that's option number 1. But honestly, I don't think I feel like reading that right now. The other option, which is definitely longer than that one, but I think shorter than the last option possibly, is finishing off the After the Rain series. So like I mentioned, my goal is to finish up volume 3, or to read volume 3 before the end of this month. If not, then obviously that will be included in this if I don't get to it. However, both of these, well, if I don't finish off volume 3 before the end of September, then this will actually be longer than the last option that I have. But these are 2-in-1 volumes. However, with these, like I mentioned when I talked about volume 3, these tend to go by a lot quicker. And then the final option, which is probably the most ridiculous one, is the 5 volumes of Astra Lost in Space. Yes. I picked these up in July for my birthday, and I've been really wanting to read them because based on the covers, they look like spacey sci-fi. This is the one I feel like I'm most in the mood for right now, but I don't know if I should do that to myself. And it looks like each one gets longer, maybe except volume 4. But yeah, I don't know. So those are my 3 options. I'm not going to decide now. I'm going to just write them all down, and then whatever I feel like in the mood for first is the one that I have to read. Either continue and finish the series or read the entire series in the case of Astra Lost in Space. That's the only one I haven't started yet. Alright, I've already done another quick shuffle, and we have a face card. Okay, and for the dice roller, I already have it pulled up. Let's roll 5. 5 is actually backlist title. I'm pretty sure this one, which is Sarah J Maas themed, is my, yeah, this one is my backlist titles. So I'm gonna actually shake this up a little. So I have the Queen of Nothing, which is the 3rd book in the Holly Black Folk in the Air series, I think is what that one is called. The thing with this one is that I feel like I need to reread books 1 and 2 because it has been, I'm pretty sure, like years since I've read the first 2. I brought book 3 with me because it had just came out when I was moving from Texas back to Illinois. So I brought it with me, but I thought I was going to read it like within a month, and I never did. So I feel like I want to go ahead and do that. I don't know if that's the best option considering I already have finished a series. I decided that what I'm going to do is try to get audiobooks for both The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King. Yes, The Wicked King, so that I can do a speed read through audio for both of those, so that I can go into The Queen of Nothing, which is the final book. I've been meaning to read this for a while, but I need to like get back into the series to get re-excited for this. If I can't get both of those in time, or if I don't have enough time to read both of those to go into this, then I do have another option, because I just don't want to like do myself a disservice by like making it impossible to get everything done because I'm trying to read too much again. But the other option is to read The Other Side of the Sky by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. Okay, moving on to pull number 3, which is 10 of Clubs. For 10 of Clubs, the prompt was to read a book with fire or flames on the cover. Apparently none of the books that I have with me that I haven't read yet, or not many of them, have fires and or flames on the cover. One option is These Violent Delights. It has very tiny flames, like where were they? Like along the dragon's leg here. Like they're super small, but they're there. And that could count. I feel like, I don't know if I want to read this though. The other one, which is very noticeable, is Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. I think I'm going to go with this one. Because I actually have not read anything from her, or at least none of her fantasy related stuff. I think for this one, I'm going to go with Incendiary. I'm scared. We're 3 books in, and like I already have so many books in front of me that are possibilities, and I'm just like, there's no way I'm reading everything. There's just no way. All right, so next pull is 9 of Diamonds. I think that's really close because I think I've already had a 10 of Diamonds. Prompt number 4 is to revisit an author. I think to make this a little bit easier on myself, I'm actually just going to go ahead and pick a reread, because I'm going to be reading these books anyway for a read along. So I'm gonna go with Magic Strikes by Alona Andrews. I can also put Golden Sun on there because I definitely need to get to this, or I really want to get to this. So it could be either one of these. It could be either one of these. I'm gonna be reading both of them anyway, but this one will technically be a reread that I've read multiple times already. And then this is a new read from an author I've already read before. All right, moving on to pull number 5, which is 7 of Clubs. 7 of Clubs was to read a 2021 release. And I feel like this is giving me the opportunity to redeem myself. Honestly, with this book is been the last few months, and that is Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. Pull number 6, yes, pull number 6 is that 2 of Diamonds. So next prompt is 2 of Diamonds, which was to read a book with the main character who is an adult. I think that once again I'm just going to go ahead and pick out a book that I'm already planning on reading this month anyway, which is Magic Bleeds by Alona Andrews, which is book 4 in the series. Alright, pull number 7 is looks like another face card. Alright, so we have the dice roller up, and once again I'm hoping for basically anything but novel series, pretty much. Hopefully you guys can see that. Is that a 2? No, it's actually 1. Yikes. 1 is subscription box. That's probably my second least favorite one. But I don't have many options in here because it's literally, I finally cleaned it out and it's just the ones that I have with me. And I think almost all of them have been like in rotating. I want to read them and then I don't. I just grabbed the first one that I touched, which is Witches Steeped in Gold. Yikes. We have Witches Steeped in Gold, which I have a feeling I'm going to love, but it's just so big. I know it's not as tall as like some of the other books that I have on my TBR, but I'm pretty sure that this book is like over 500 pages. Fingers crossed. And that was only prompt number 7. We still have at least 5 more to go, as long as we don't get any extras, of course. Alright, moving on to prompt number 8, which is 8 of Diamonds. So the prompt for that one was to read a manga, which is obviously pretty open, which is actually great because I have 3 mangas that I need to at least attempt to read that I just opened up in my Manga Spice Cafe box. So I'm just going to pick the one that's on top and go with that one. And that is Skip and Loafer Volume 1 by Misaki Takamatsu. All right, moving on to pull number 9, we have 8 of Clubs. Okay, so 8 of Clubs is actually second chance. It's not a prompt that I can actually complete at the moment. I just pulled out another prompt to see how this would go if I could actually use it, because I really didn't want to take the risk away of having 2 8s already. So instead of doing the second chance, because I don't have anything that would work for this prompt at the moment, I'm actually going to go with the prompt that I just pulled out, which is to reread a book. I feel like it definitely fits because, as I mentioned, I'm doing a read along and I need to fit in these books. The novellas will not technically count because I obviously have not read the novellas yet, but I can move Magic Strikes over from the previous prompt. I'm going to move this over from the other prompt that I had chosen that it could possibly fit. So I'm taking this out of the running for revisiting an author and just sticking with Golden Sun for that one for sure. And then for rereading a book, since this is like a definite you must reread something, I'm just going to go ahead and go with Magic Strike. Prompt number 10 is set 9 of Clubs. Okay, very heavy on this side of the board today. 9 of Clubs is actually to pick a book that involves a TBR game. Hey everyone, so I'm actually cutting into the video. It's been a few days since I've actually filmed the full TBR. It just popped into my head exactly what I wanted to do for the prompt. It's something that I've been wanting to try that I can play myself. I'm going to be trying out Gavin's Play Your TBR Right. If you haven't seen any of his monthly TBR videos, I will link you to his October one. The way he plays is you pick 2 books. You get one book that you're really excited about and maybe one that you aren't so excited about. Then you have 5 cards. You have to choose higher or lower, and you lose obviously if you get to the next one wrong. And if you get all of them right, then you get to read the book you really want. If you lose at any point, you have to pick the one you aren't as excited about. With all of that being said, I did pick out 2 books. So for the book that I would really like to read is Ace of Spades. However, if I lose, the other book that I decided to go with is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I think the concept of the story is very interesting, but I have been putting it off mostly because it's historical. Both of these are over 400 pages. I think this one is like 415, but this one is like 450 something. So this one is closer to 500. But let's go ahead and get started because this clip is probably already way longer than it needs to be. So at least as far as basics, so I don't have to explain it if it comes up. Like I said, I have to guess higher or lower. I am playing as Ace as the highest card because you can do highest or lowest, but I've always played with Ace being the highest, so that's the way I'm going to play. I think if I get a Joker, that's a wild, so that one counts as highest and lowest, so that's kind of just a free pass. The first card is a King, and that's like second from highest the way I play, so I'm going to say that it is lower than a King. So let's check. Okay, Jack, which I'm still on a good note, but I'm gonna say lower than a Jack. Okay, that's a 7, and I know 7 is like that mid-range, and I'm going to say lower than a 7. I'm just thinking about how my card pulls tend to go, and I'm gonna say lower than a 7. I'm gonna regret this. I have a feeling. No. Okay, I got 2. So honestly, I'm gonna win because the way that I play, you can't have any lower than a 2. So higher than a 2, which is King. So because of that, I get to go ahead and add Ace of Spades to my TBR. And now that I have done this, let's get back to the rest of the video for the last little bit of my TBR for October. Moving on finally to pull number 11, which is 10 of Diamonds. If I end up with 8, 9, or 10 for pull number 12, then we're in trouble. But for now, let's go ahead and see what 10 of Diamonds is. 10 of diamonds is sports, and very easy solution for this one. I'm gonna just go ahead and go with Girl Got Game Volume 4 by Shizzy Rusino. All right, so moving on to what is hopefully the final pull of this month. Lord Jesus, I just peeked at the card and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna have to pull an extra. Anyway, pull number 12 is 8 of Hearts. Please don't let that be like a triple and a double like last month. No. Okay. I've had Diamond of Clubs. So 8 of Hearts. That is my third 8. So we're going to have to pull another one. But let's go ahead and see what the prompt for this one is. Hopefully nothing too crazy. So 8 of Hearts is to read an e-arc. I feel like I switched this around last month and it's coming back to bite me in the butt. Because I believe I have e-arcs, but I don't think I want to read any of them. I'm pretty sure that I possibly just got an email about a romance e-arc, which could be a possibility. You know what? Let me actually go ahead and look at that now to see if it sounds like something that I would be interested in reading. Because the option that I'm thinking of right now is to like skip and just go with another prompt. But if I do that, then I have to add another pull, and we already have an extra one. So I would be going 2 more times for 14. And I don't think I want to do that. So let me go read the prompt or the description of the book that was just sent to me and see if it's something that I would be interested in reading. Okay, so I did just quickly go ahead and read the description for this book, and it does sound like something that I would be interested in, and this is How to Love Your Neighbor by Sophie Sullivan. I'm gonna go ahead and read that one because I really don't want to have to add an extra prompt for skipping this. And moving on to pull number 13, which is hopefully the last pull for the month, and that is 5 of Spades. All right, and then the prompt for 5 of Spades is to actually read an audiobook, which is great because that's super easy to complete. The one that I'm going to go ahead and go with for that is The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. Once again, just like last month, ended up with 13 books for Deck of TBR, but I do have a few others that I haven't already talked about that I did want to briefly mention. So I do also have 2 other mangas that came in Manga Spice Cafe. So there's Kirby Manga Mania Volume 1 that I'm going to be attempting to read. And then I have The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated. I feel like I say that differently every time. But this is also Volume 1 by Wakami Kanbu. The other 2 that I have are 2 of the novellas that are taking place in the Kate Daniel series. It actually might be a little bit more because I believe there are also some short stories. Yeah, I forgot to write that down. So I have Magic Mourns, which is book 3.5 in the Kate Daniel series, and then Magic Dreams, which is book 4.5. So I've already mentioned book 3 and 4. Those are the novellas in between. And then I believe there's also 1 or 2, possibly 3 stories in the current point of view short stories that take place or that have stories surrounding these 2 like main novels. So I will be reading those as well. This month is going to be interesting. I would hold up everything, but I don't think I can even hold up everything while sitting down because it's just way too many. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that here. Let me know down in the comments what are some of the things you're planning on reading this month. I do apologize about, like I said at the beginning of the video, not really getting to comments before. I will be working on that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, even though it was a bit chaotic. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy, as well as subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.